finger blast and vinegar syndrome. Here we is, motherfucker. Welcome to another pop culture mass sermon. I am the motherfucker that's going to be saying motherfucker a lot, the Archbishop Cecil B. DeMillionaire. Welcome, one and all. Hope you guys are doing lovely this fine day as you're listening to this. Look, I don't think it's a stretch or a hyperbolic for me to say that every fucking person is making a best physical media releases of 2024 video right now. My mom made a fucking best physical media releases of 2024 video, okay? My grandma made a fucking best physical media releases of 2024 video. It's fucking wild. I feel left out. I want in. On the other hand, I don't want to be the 20th motherfucker to record a video saying how awesome Arrow's 4K release of Trick or Treat was, or how The Keep really got its name because it was keeping me hard for 96 minutes. But on top of that, I mean, that's the best I got for this video, probably. That's gonna be the best one. Sorry, guys. On top of that, I'm still waiting for Vinegar Syndrome to send me The Keep. So even though I ordered it on Black Friday, I still don't have it in my possession as of the recording of this video on January the 6th. So I haven't even seen that shit yet. So I'll be the only asshole putting The Keep on his best of 2025 list. That'll be fun. What I got for you today is hopefully something kind of original. I want to be original with my list. Like I said, I'm not releasing this video a week and a half after everyone else just so I can be the last person on earth to jerk off Demolition Man or A Simple Plan. So I'm not going to mention those films again. I'm going to talk about the okayest movies of 2024. These are the okayest films. Films that not a lot of other people, in my experience, are talking about. Maybe there are people talking about these films, but I couldn't find them. I didn't turn that rock over yet to find the motherfucker talking about these movies. So in my observation, these are kind of films that sailed under the radar. Everybody's over here, Demolition Man. Everybody's over here, The Keep. You know what I mean? And they got both arms going on other films. And this is some shit that I think was awesome from 2024 that people may have slept on a little bit. We'll see. We'll see what you think, okay? I want to hear what you think. These are physical media releases from 2024, so they were released onto physical media, at least in this particular format, in 2024. And I also watched these movies in 2024. There might be some cool releases like The Keep that I haven't watched yet because I haven't received them yet, motherfuckers. I'm not upset about it. I'm being patient. Anyway, I can't comment on a film I haven't watched, right? That would be hypocriticalist of me, okay? And I'm a lot of things. I'm a lot of not great things, but I'm not a shill. I'm not going to be out here sucking the dick of a movie that I haven't seen or that I don't like unless someone pays me. And then I'll shill like a motherfucker. Anyway, let's get into the movies. All right, the first one I'm going to mention is one of my earlier pickups of 2024. I was lucky enough to get in on the pre-order of this one because I believe this one disappeared quite quickly. I'm not even sure if there were any restocks of this at all. I think this is one of the few Arrow releases that straight up sold out off of the pre-orders alone. I did not see this one out in the wild on my trips to Bull Moose. I saw the Blu-ray edition of this several times in the first half of the year on my trips to Bull Moose, but I never saw the 4K of this one, out there in the wild. And so I'm going to give Arrow a little bit of love with the Conan Chronicles box set. I thought it looked great. I watched both films pretty quickly after getting this set because I was excited. Like many of you guys may not remember this, but when you're older, like me, you remember. You'd get the paper on Sunday and you'd go through and you see what movies were playing for the week. And if it was, I don't know, circa 1989, 1990, 1991, I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger was pretty hot shit back then. I don't know if you remember that. And there were a lot of 10, 12-year-old boys, much like myself, who were like, fuck yeah, like where's fucking Conan? Where's Commando? Where's fucking Running Man? We were very interested in catching these films. So for me, this release, I mean, I'm biased. Obviously, I'm biased. I never claimed not to be biased. Go back to the very beginning of this channel and watch every video I've ever put out. I've never once claimed to be unbiased. I am very biased. I love the shit out of movies I'm nostalgic about, and these are the Conan films bring a lot of nostalgia for me. So I can't look at a camel without thinking of Conan, like smashing the skull of the one who spit on him in Conan the Destroyer. Got to be one of my favorite parts in cinema history, right? Like he tries to apologize to a camel because he punched one in the first movie, and then it fucking spits out that fucking white jizz all over him, and he gets pissed, so he fucking, I mean, he just fucking brains that goddamn camel. And look, I know animal abuse, it's not funny, but it is kind of. I mean, you know, killing a dog in John Wick, very sad. But Arnold Schwarzenegger possibly murdering a camel in Conan the Barbarian is quite funny. I think you have to admit that. And if you don't agree, chances are your sense of humor is pretty shitty and you need to have that looked at. So, for some weird reason, also, like this is a little tidbit about my life that you don't need to know about, but my grandparents were like really fucking into camels too. Um, they just loved camels. They had camel shit all over their house. They had like glass jars shaped like camels. They had stuffed camels, some of which my daughters have inherited, like my grandparents' stuffed camels from the 1950s or whatever. Ceramic camels. I have a camel tie. I got a tie. My grandpa passed recently, and I inherited a tie that's got camels all fucking over this tie. I don't know what I'm gonna wear, but maybe I'll put it on for one of these videos sometime. Anyway, I ate some edibles and discreetly drank several beers while watching these Conan films. It was very enjoyable to finally have these on 4K and to be able to sit there and enjoy a little silence for once at the end of my day. You have no idea. You know, you just look forward to that silence at the end of the day. Everyone's asleep. You're the only one awake. You ate the edible about 2, 3 hours ago, so it's popping. You're on beer number 2, and shit is just good, man. You put Conan on, and you turn every fucking light out, and you just lay back, make yourself comfortable. I'm telling you right now, all of the pleasures in life, that's it right there. That's on top of the heap. Anyway, my wife comes downstairs, and I'm laying there enjoying the shit out of this movie. I'm ripped, right? I'm watching the first Conan movie, and it's right at the part where Conan and Subotai set all the traps, and then they fight the dudes in that like ancient graveyard. Conan says his prayer, Crom, I've never prayed to you before. You know, that whole thing. He does that whole thing. And she comes down right when that scene is getting ready to start. And I'm like, oh man, honey, you came at a great time. This is the best part of the whole movie. And so she sits down with me. She's sold. She watches that prayer to Crom. She watches the whole fight with all the bloodletting and all the traps and stuff like that. She sees Valeria come in and save Crom from beyond the grave. It was fucking epic. I'm ripped out of my fucking gourd. I'm having so much fun. And then, can you believe this shit? My fucking wife just turns to me and looks at me like this and she says, that was the best part, motherfucker? What the fuck? God damn, she's lucky I don't believe in domestic violence. Let me tell you that right now. I was entirely too high off edibles to get up anyway, but I'm just saying, not only was I too high to get up, but I don't believe in domestic violence. I'm against that. But if I wasn't, who we she would have got it for that comment. How you gonna sit through the Crom, all that whole part and the fight and the dun 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 dun, and you're gonna be like, that was the best part, motherfucker? I think Conan, especially the first one, they're films that look great without really trying very hard. You know, they don't have like they have very interesting images and compositions. Some of the set design is wicked cool. I really like the giant snake and shit like that. I think this is a worthy 4K upgrade. Also, them titties. That's what's best in life, bruh. More like breast in life. Am I right? I pledged to post 80s titties on this video. I did. I'm a man of my word. I never promised they'd be chicks. Boo! Anyway, next up, I would like to tell you about a little film called Little Darlings. I didn't even mean to do that. That was not intentional. I didn't write that down. This is a great release. This is maybe one of my favorites, but it's on this list. So yeah, obviously it's one of my favorites. This is a 4K debut of a movie that hasn't been available since fucking VHS. If you didn't buy a tape of this movie in 1993, then you could fuck yourself until Vinegar Syndrome slash Cinematograph. It always makes me feel so sophisticated. Cinematograph. I have to use my sophisticated voice. My Cinematograph. They put that movie out. I think it came out in February of 24. It's like the mission of Cinematograph was, you know, trying to shine a light on some films that maybe, you know, they're Hollywood releases that were, you know, prominent at least at one point, but maybe fell by the wayside over the years. And certainly Little Darlings is one of them that fell by the wayside, probably owing to some of the music that was used in the film and rights issues. So Little Darlings never saw a DVD release. It never saw a Blu-ray, a 1080p Blu-ray release because probably most likely, I'm talking out of my ass, but I think I'm right, it had music in there. Obviously, clearance, you know, rights issues. They got to clear the rights for the music every time they do a format upgrade. I love the idea of Cinematograph, and I feel like Little Darlings was the perfect realization because it's a fantastic movie. It's a really well worthy movie. I've got a lot of respect for what Cinematograph is doing by bringing it out, bringing it to disc. Not only that, but putting it on 4K. And it's an incredible film. It really is an incredible film. It's a gem of a film, in my opinion, because there's probably a whole generation of people that last 25 years, 30 years that have never seen this fucking movie. And I think that's a shame, but I also think fucking get on it, people. You have the chance now. I feel like this film really captures that adolescent transition to adulthood in a way that's like funny. There's a giant food fight scene. They're like busting open the condom machine like a fucked up kind of pinata. I love it so much. But it's like really like a heartfelt film too about like friendship and shit like that. It's so good and it's so well done. I think kind of tender without really trying to be, like just how real it felt, kind of. And it looked great on 4K. I gotta say, it looked great. It doesn't hurt that Little Darlings was filmed in Georgia. The opening and ending scenes were filmed in Atlanta, downtown Atlanta, and the camp was filmed at Camp Daniel Morgan, which is, I think it's west of Atlanta. And it was also the location used for Friday the 13th, Part 6, which is extra fucking cool. It's one of my favorite Friday the 13th movies. The same camp was used some years earlier in the filming of Little Darlings. And I gotta say, they're 2 for 2. Camp Daniel Morgan and movies filmed there are 2 for 2 in my book because those are 2 excellent films. This one, you know, Little Darlings maybe being a little bit more artistically, um, you know, a little bit more high-minded, you know, a little bit more artistic merit here with Little Darlings than Friday the 13th Part 6. But don't tell me you don't watch Friday the 13th Part 6 with your entire dick out, your whole dick out while you're watching Friday the 13th Part 6, because that's an excellent movie too. Little Darlings is just one of those rare cases where I watched it and then the very next day I watched it again and I turned on the director's commentary that second day. I wanted to like go through it a second time the very next day. I was just really taken with its depiction of the time period as well. You know, it just feels like, yeah, it came out when I was 1 year old, or maybe, I don't know, maybe I was 0. I don't know, I might have been 1 month when this movie was released, but nonetheless, I got a lot of nostalgia for the time period. It just feels like almost looking at like a whole different fucking century. Well, it is a whole different century, isn't it? I'm just saying dumb shit tonight, aren't I? Anyway, there's a lot more I could say about Little Darlings, and maybe sometime this summer, 25, I will take some time to truly fillet this movie for the whole internet. But for now, I'll just say Little Darlings, fantastic release in 2024. Did not get nearly as much love as it deserves, much like this channel. And if you're sleeping on Little Darlings, it is to your own detriment, and I hope you shit your pants. Number 3, I'm going to talk about. These are in no particular order, by the way. I don't even know why I said number 3 because it doesn't fucking matter. It's just the third one to come to my head. The Bounty Hunter trilogy. Okay, this is a great little set. This is a Radiance release, and it's a trio, a trilogy of lesser known samurai flicks. They have been released, I think, on DVD previously here in the United States. But again, they're just not as well known. My impression is that when folks think of samurai movies, they tend to think of more recent shit that had prominent releases in America, theatrical releases like The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise. The Shogun series, despite not having a theatrical release, is still very prominent. I mean, it was all over Hulu last year. So I think people think of Shogun. Some folks with a little bit more cinema literacy might think of the Samurai, Yojimbo. People might think of Yojimbo, also by Kira Kurosawa. Undoubtedly, people will think of the first Kill Bill. There's a lot of like samurai, Hattori Hanzo type of shit going on in that movie, and chopping Lucy Liu's top of her head off with a katana and shit like that. No spoiler warning. That movie's fucking 22 years old, so kiss my whole ass. I'm not fucking spoiler warning movies that are older than you are. The Twilight Samurai is a great one for like big brain genius motherfuckers to bust out. Y'all will know about the Twilight Samurai if you're fucking smart. And if you don't know about Twilight Samurai, go fucking watch it and then come back and feel smart because you've seen it now. None of that really matters. Anyway, people think of these samurai movies, but I don't think the Bounty Hunter trilogy really jumps to mind. But that's a shame because these are really great movies. Lone Wolf and Cub was recently released by Criterion Collection. I say recently, but like, I don't know, 2021, whatever. They got released on Blu-ray by Criterion Collection. And that's a set of like 6 movies, I think. And those are fairly well known too. It doesn't hurt that they're based on manga, and manga is pretty popular in the United States these days. And Lone Wolf and Cub even stars the same guy as Bounty Hunter trilogy, Wakayama Tomasuburo himself. Say that shit when you've had as much beer as I've had tonight. I'm doing okay. So really, I gotta take my hat off to Radiance for putting out a real nice set for this trilogy. There's and so it really just felt like a really nice kind of collection of a trilogy there. And like Lone Wolf and Cub, this is a trilogy that's first and foremost meant as like a crowd pleaser. A lot of chopping people up. There's plenty of action with sword fighting. There's even a couple of sick shootouts. My man Wakayama like starts just mowing motherfuckers down with this fucking machine gun. I'm like, where you get a fucking machine gun in like 19th century Japan? But fucking A, I'm here for it. There's also women. Wakayama slays guts in all of his films. If you've seen Lone Wolf and Cub, you know what I'm saying. For some reason, chicks are just, they take one look at that dude and they're like, I want to fucking rub his belly with my vagina. Effect he has on women. I mean, I can't say I'm not jealous. I am. I'm jealous. So there's like intrigue in these movies. There's a lot of fun characters. There's this really cool vibe. I mean, even though it's a period piece, it's this trilogy, there's still this like late 60s vibe. It just kind of feels like they're just fucking throwing shit at the screen and having a lot of fun with it. It feels like they're having fun. And when you're hanging out with somebody that's having fun, it's hard not to have fun too, unless you're the designated driver and you're driving a bunch of drunk people home. Let me tell you what, that's not fun. They're having tons of fun in the back. They think they're fucking hilarious, but they're shit hammered and you're bone sober. That is not fun at all. But otherwise, when filmmakers are having fun and they're making fun movies and you can tell everybody's vibing, it's very hard not to enjoy that. And it's a fun vibe. So if you like the Lone Wolf and Cub films, the Bounty Hunter trilogy is for you. If you don't like the Lone Wolf and Cub films, I can't understand not liking these films. I just don't get it. It doesn't compute. I mean, I suppose it's possible, but I refuse to accept it and I refuse to respect it. So you better fucking learn it, live it, and love it. It's called the Bounty Hunter trilogy, and you need to fucking check that shit out. And at the end of the day, if you don't like samurai action, you have no dick. Next, I would like to mention one of my later purchases of the year. I didn't get this till mid-December. It wasn't released till like the very end of November or some shit like that. But it is the Capra at Columbia box set. Sony, Columbia's hit their 100th anniversary, 100-year anniversary recently, and Sony has just they've been making money. I mean, the cynical part of me is like, oh yeah, they're cashing in, and they're cashing in good. But you know what? They're doing it right. I don't mind giving somebody my money when what I'm getting in return is as awesome as the fucking Capra at Columbia box set. I feel almost irrationally excited about this one. Almost like more excited than maybe I feel like I should be. Like my level of excitement about this box set, it feels like I shouldn't be this excited about it, but I am. And it just feels like such a dense library of films. This box set contains 20 movies spanning 11 years of Frank Capra's career. Just like with the samurai action films, if you don't love It Happened One Night, I don't fucking understand it. And honestly, I'm supposed to say that I respect your opinion, but I don't. I can't lie. I don't respect anybody's opinion on It Happened One Night unless it's a high opinion and they think it's an awesome fucking movie. I respect that opinion. Anybody that doesn't share that opinion, I don't respect it. I might still respect you for other reasons, but I definitely don't respect that opinion on It Happened One Night. But anyway, Frank Capra box set also contains a feature-length documentary about Frank Capra and just a bunch of special features. We're talking about commentaries, featurettes, all sorts of shit. Even a 68-minute silent film from 1928 that fucking Frank Capra made that I just watched an hour ago with my wife. That thing has a fucking commentary. They recorded a fucking commentary for a 68-minute silent film from the year my grandma was born. That's fucking awesome. I don't know. Maybe you guys are just listening to me rave about this, thinking like, what is he doing? Like, why did he toot so much blow before this video? He's getting all hyped up about something completely mundane. Maybe I'm getting hyped up about something completely mundane. Maybe it's pretty special that a huge corporate conglomerate like Sony is taking the time in 2024 to record commentaries for 100-year-old silent films. Like, fuck, that's cool. I don't know. This box set contains 2,400 minutes of entertainment in all, according to Blu-ray.com, if they are to be believed. And I do believe them. It's, what is it, 20 movies by Frank Capra plus the documentary, so really 21 movies. All of the films are on Blu-ray, and 9 of them are on 4K. And I gotta say, they're putting out movies that are 95 years old on 4K. Fuck yes, I am here for that shit. You know, you can tell by the packaging, the restorations, even the commentaries on 100-year-old movies that Sony really put some effort into this release. And it does feel premium. It doesn't feel like something that Sony slapped together as a cash grab. So even though the cynical part of me is like, oh yeah, they're fucking milking this 100-year anniversary for everything. Bro, this set is fucking nice, especially for the price. You can find this thing on Amazon for like 150 bucks. For 20 movies, it's like $6 a movie or some shit like that. Plus all the special features and shit. So what I'm saying is this is a highly affordable set when you break it down on a per feature cost. Something that I do plan on bitching about more in 2025 is how shitty it is that older films get left by the wayside. Older films don't get their due because they get ignored by modern audiences, by people who were born after 1927. Basically, if you're younger than my grandma, then, you know, people are like, yeah, fuck it. I don't want to watch a silent film anyway. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. Anyway, most people simply do not go back further than their own lifetimes to watch movies from earlier eras. These older movies could easily be forgotten. Most people just don't go back to watch these earlier movies, but they're leaving decades of entertainment on the table because some people don't like black and white movies. Do you want to know what I call those people? I call them bitches. Some people don't like movies that require them to pay attention and like read intertitles. I call those people bitches too. Film history is important, motherfuckers. If you're not into films, that's fine. You don't have to be into film history if you're not into films. I'm not into crocheting. I don't know shit about crochet history. I don't know dick about it because I don't give a fuck. If you don't give a fuck about movies, that's fine. You don't have to give a fuck about film history. But if you're trying to tell me that you're into cinema, if you dare use the word cinema or film when you're talking about a movie, you're going to refer to a movie as a film, and you don't have time for film history, I would call you a bitch too. I also want to talk about Riddle of Fire. This is a Vinegar Syndrome release that really I think should have gotten more love. It's actually a quite recent movie, I think 2023, but it has a distinctly retro aesthetic, which I love. I love older films, as you might know from my ranting and raving 60 seconds ago. I love older films, yes, but something I appreciate about modern films too is when they reverently emulate older films. I don't think there's anything wrong with looking back at films of earlier decades as inspiration for either your storytelling, your style, your aesthetic, visual aesthetic, motifs, themes. This is not a film that's set in the 1980s, though. It's actually contemporaneous. And you forget, because of how retro the style is, you forget that it's not set in 1978. There's like one scene where they have a cell phone, and you're like, oh, this movie is happening now. For me, the film really just kind of reminds you that the experiences that we had when we were young, the unplugged, kind of just out there in nature, out there in the wild experiences that we had when we were young are still accessible today. You can still go out and do that. Young people can still go out and do that if they're lucky. So, as I alluded, this film has a ragtag group of precocious young kids as their main characters. Those kids are being pursued by dangerous adults who mean them real harm. So it's got kind of a Goonies vibe there, but also it has this late 70s or very early 80s visual aesthetic. So it really does look like a movie that was made in 1978. It was shot on 16 millimeter, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. I do believe it was shot on, so it was shot on an older format. That helps them to achieve that particular look and feel, in my opinion. So Riddle of Fire also, I mean, you can tell from the name, Riddle of Fire. It's got a little bit of a fantasy vibe. They've got like a fairy mountain and shit like that. And their text is kind of has that like font, that sort of like fantasy, like Dungeons and Dragons kind of esque fantasy font. But there's also like a little bit of eccentricity to each of the characters. They're more than quirky, they're like eccentric. So it's like a really dialed down version of Napoleon Dynamite, too. There's like a little sprinkle of Napoleon Dynamite style autism in all the characters, but it's like a lovable autism, right? So, despite reminding me of these movies that I just mentioned, Goonies, Napoleon Dynamite, shit like that, it still felt like a lot of fun. There was a lot of rewatchability there. It felt like its own thing, is what I'm trying to say. It didn't feel like it was just a rehash of these other things that you've already seen and you'd get bored halfway through. It really did seem like they were kind of mixing it together in kind of a new way. And they wound up, I think, producing something that was a lot of fun, very rewatchable, more so probably than a lot of other Vinegar Syndrome releases. So not many people are talking about Riddle of Fire. I didn't see many videos talking about it last year, and I think that's a shame. It's really good. You should go check it out. But also, there's 1,000 YouTube videos about how physical media is dying and all sorts of other shit. So, where are the motherfuckers talking about how good Riddle of Fire is besides me? Here's one you probably didn't see coming: White Christmas. This one kind of flew under the radar, I think, for a lot of people. It was released at the very start of November, which sort of makes sense if you're the studio releasing it, because they want to give people time to pick it up and buy it, lead into to the holidays. But I think maybe that release date was like a little too soon after Halloween. There was still like a lot of Halloween content out there on the internet, and it wasn't quite close enough to Christmas for motherfuckers to have White Christmas on the brain. But I have to say, I did pick up White Christmas shortly before the holiday, so I could watch it on 4K. Most years I watch it streaming, but when they released the 4K, I said, "Fuck it, let me check it out." I was in a Bull Moose. They had it sitting there. It was on sale. I said, "Fuck it, I'll check this fucking thing out." Fucking put that thing in. I'm telling you, man, this 4K looks phenomenal. It really does look quite good. I think if every 4K this looked this good, if every 4K release looked as good as White Christmas, nobody would make YouTube videos about shitty 4K transfers. I was really impressed with White Christmas, more so than I thought I would be. I kind of figured this was going to be just one of those inevitable 4K format upgrades, like they released the Blu-ray in 2016, and now they want to milk a little bit more cash out of motherfuckers like me, so they put it out on 4K. But it really felt like somebody put some work into this. Again, like with the Sony Capra Columbia box set. I love it when I feel like somebody actually put the fucking work in. It made it feel all the more special because this is a Christmas classic. This is one that people watch every year, that I watch every year. It is on the other end of the spectrum. from Bad Santa, but I adore White Christmas and I watch it every year. People who don't watch White Christmas every year, you guessed it, they're bitches. But they're probably also Jewish and Muslim too, so I don't know. Maybe there's something to do with that. So here's one for you guys, Ninja Scroll on Steelbook. I got the Steelbook. That shit was hard to get. I had to beat up a 13-year-old to get my hands on this shit. I'm not a big anime guy. If you guys watch this channel, you know I don't mention anime a whole lot. But I never claimed to be an anti-anime guy either. I'm open. Let's put it this way. I'm open. When it comes to anime, I really only have time for like the nostalgic stuff, the stuff that I used to watch as a teenager. I liked the boobies when I was young. I liked the extreme violence. I mean, who doesn't? Come on. Even now as an adult, you got to love anime titties. And if you don't, you're fucking lying. I love the fucking stylized extreme violence of it all. Just everything was so wild. I mean, like anime in the 80s just felt like, and the 90s, it just felt like the Wild West. Like they were just doing whatever the fuck they wanted and no one was paying any fucking attention. La Blue Girl, how the fuck did that get made? Go Google that with your safe search off if you don't know what I'm talking about. La Blue Girl. Hell yeah, thank me later. You're gonna go through a whole fucking box of tissues on La Blue Girl. Let me tell you what. You better get fucking paper towels for that. You better get fucking sunscreen and a beach towel for fucking La Blue Girl. You're gonna lose so much fluid on that fucking series. Anyway, Ninja Scroll has all of that and more. They got the boobies, they got the violence, they got the fucking just weird wildness. And I'm nostalgic about it. I watched Ninja Scroll in like 1993 for the first time, whenever the fuck it came out. But I've been watching that movie for a long ass time. It's been a long ass time since I've seen it. Actually, when this Blu-ray came out, it had probably been 15 years, maybe longer. The main character, Kibagami Jubei, he's a fucking badass. The demons of Kimon are all well designed, interesting. The action is slick. The animation is just fun to look at. It's fucking amazingly watchable anime. So, you know, like I said, I'm not a big anime guy, but I will give credit where it is due. And I believe credit is due to Ninja Scroll. I think this re-release is also important because while Ninja Scroll has been released before on Blu-ray, it's been out of print for a while. So copies have previously been stupid expensive. And as awesome as this movie is, I don't want to pay $100 for a single disc Blu-ray. So quit being a fucking dork and go watch Ninja Scroll. Your boner will thank you. And the last film I want to mention, lest I fucking go for an hour, is Le Samurai. Criterion Collection released this one on DVD back in like 2005, and I bought it right when it came out, way back when. So I was very happy to finally upgrade this to 4K. And I mean, this is a great film. This is another one of those movies that, you know, I mean, because Criterion had released it previously on other formats like DVD and Blu-ray, maybe it didn't get a lot of love because this was more or less a inevitable 4K upgrade. There's no new special features from the Blu-ray disc, to my knowledge. I believe that all of the special features are the same. So really, I just love this 60s French crime film. I think this is 1967 when it came out. It's got these noir elements. I think I've read that it's described as a neo-noir. So it does have noirish elements. There are a lot of nighttime scenes, a lot of outdoor scenes, a lot of like dark, kind of moody interior scenes as well. And I have to say that I think the neo-noir, the noir elements work very well, but it's also very dreamlike. The vibe of this film, you know, something like Double Indemnity, which is a more classical noir, it doesn't have that dreamlike vibe. It's a little bit more hard-boiled. It's a little bit more pulpy. This is almost like it's got that 60s kind of like, hey, we're fucking doing LSD now. This shit is cool. Let's make it fucking a little bit trippy, man. And it's not trippy in the sense of like mushroom colors all over it, like Woodstock or some shit. But there is like this dreamlike feeling to it, especially in the opening scenes of the film. There's this opening imagery of Alain Delon as Jeff, and he's in the rain. It's raining outside, and he's walking through the rain. And there's this early synth score that really reminds me of Tangerine Dream, and that is not a bad thing at all. That is a very good thing. And there's like this organ that plays, this kind of electronic organ that plays as Jeff is like staring through this rain-soaked windshield, and you could see the rain kind of, the windshield is soaked. He doesn't have the wipers on, so you can't see him real clearly. His image is kind of distorted by the water, the way the light's refracting, and sort of it almost makes him look, I mean, it really has the feeling like you're in a dream at that point in time. It's absolutely otherworldly. And there is some really beautiful photography in Les Samurai for sure. There's just a really great depth of field to some shots where, you've got subjects that'll move through the space and they stay in focus the whole time. It's really great. There's a meaningful juxtaposition between the rougher, jazzy, more naturalistic environment of Jeff. He's our main character. He's a solitary contract killer. Think of somebody like Leon, the professional, Jeff from The Killer. There's a juxtaposition between his environment and like this sterile, kind of angular, sort of very modern environment of the a police detective who's trying to catch him. So this film was the inspiration for John Woo's The Killer. John Woo wrote a piece for the Criterion booklet, if you don't believe me. There's also hints of Heat here, in my opinion. The police inspector who's like doggedly trying to catch our protagonist by any means necessary. Kind of reminds me of the way Pacino's character was written in Heat a little bit, because he sort of knows who he's after. It's just more a matter of like trying to prove it. And this is just, it's an incredible film. It's such a great film. It's really a film about process. It's not an action film in the way that The Killer is. John Woo took it in that action direction. I think with Les Samurai, it's a film as much about process as anything else. And it's really about kind of watching this guy go through his process. It might appeal to autists as a result. I don't know. So this is a really great film to have on 4K. It looks great. It's an excellent film. It's an amazing film. But okay, let's keep sucking Scream Factory's dick over Hush and The Faculty. We can do that too. Anyway, that's it. Those are the 8 movies I'm going to talk about. If I talked any more, I'd go for an hour, and ain't nobody watching this shit for an hour. But anyway, if you did make it this far, if you did watch this shit for as long as it wound up being, I love you. I love your face. I'm going to kiss you on your mouth for sticking around. And, maybe you found a film that you'd like to check out. Maybe one of these films that I mentioned is something that you didn't see, you haven't seen before. And obviously, they all come highly recommended by me. And I got good fucking taste. I mean, look, it's sometimes I have poor taste too. I say a lot of bad words on this channel, and I'm almost always on drugs when I record these videos. But what I'm trying to say is that my bad taste is good sometimes. And these films are great films, and I think they're all in good taste. So watch them and enjoy them, or come fight me in real life, motherfucker. Boo! I love you.